Today we are here with Carla Voyager and Janine Lindsay, who are the two co-founders of the Little Red Dress Project. And as I understand it, the Little Dress Project has been running for 2 years now.
Today is our 2-year anniversary.
Wonderful. So how's the past 2 years been in this project?
If I had to pick a word, it would be a whirlwind.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. I'd say whirlwind. I feel like we kind of jumped into the project, and instead of knowing where we were going or how we were going to get there, I feel like we were just like, okay, here we go. Just like taken away by all these waves of support and emotion, and just so many things have led us to where we are today. Mm-hmm. It's kind of hard to summarize.
It all just started with the passion of beading in reality and wanting to bring awareness. And we both did beadwork on our own and then started doing beadwork together. And the idea stemmed from the idea of the Moosehead campaign and Orange Shirt Day and different initiatives that people wore something that could show their support for that initiative. And that's where it all stemmed from, was us wanting to show our support and bring awareness for missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls. And we decided to try a red dress. Carla was the first one to give it a try, and then it just grew from there. I don't even know how many hundreds of pins we've beaded in the last 2 years.
I have no idea.
So it just took off from there.
So, did either of you expect it to get to a 2-year long and going project?
Not at all. We honestly, we made our 2 little pins and posted them on Facebook, all proud of ourselves. And then Jeannie was getting Facebook messages, and I was getting Facebook messages, and then she finally phoned and she's like, okay, are we going to sell these? Are we going to do this? Like, do you want to do this? How much should we sell them for? We can put the money towards a billboard. And we're like, yeah, okay. So we decided to do it, and we only managed 2 days. I think that was Friday night we posted.
Yeah.
And by Sunday, we had to make a Facebook page because our inboxes were blowing up and it was ridiculous. So we then created the Facebook page and been taking orders through there for a good couple months just via a Google form. And then that got out of hand and hard to manage. Even more so because we had a few really big social influencers share our posts, and thanks, shout out to them, obviously. And then we actually had a company sponsor our website hosting. And so we now have a website where we process orders. So yeah, we've gotten pretty big, pretty fast. And
we thought we would cap it at a year.
Yeah, we thought we'd cap it at a year after we did the first billboard. And that was kind of our goal at first, was a billboard. And then we're like, okay, well, let's just do 1 billboard for Kwakwaka'wakw women. And then we're like, no, let's add a Coast Salish and the channels and just focus on the whole island. And so we haven't quite reached that new goal yet, but we're getting there. So
Yeah. 2 years later, it's just unbelievable.
It was pretty funny though. I remember once we were shopping at Shipwreck Beads downtown, and the owner there was asking what we were up to. And because we literally raided the store of all the red beads and all the fire line, and we had done that at the other bead store, and numerous bead stores up and down the island. And so anyway, she was just like, this is gonna get really big, you guys. And Jeannie looked at me and she laughed as we were walking out the door. We're like, oh, whatever. And I was remember that moment because we had no idea, no idea it would get this far.
Workshops and billboards and awareness, and it's just grown further than I could have ever imagined, and just wanting to bring a bit of awareness of what we could do in the Comox Valley, and it's spread from here all the way down and up on the island and then to the mainland, and being asked to do workshops in the education system and in different organizations. It's been amazing. Yeah.
it's come very far, but also you two, as two people who run the project, have come very far with it. So how does that feel?
It's pretty humbling for me. I personally feel that through the project, so much more has come from it. We've heard people's personal stories and heartbreaks, and it's really hit home for me especially. And I think it's been really humbling for both of us in listening to people share about their missing loved ones or murdered loved ones and no answers to their questions. And so for me, it's been very, very humbling, and to know that in the last 2 years that we've managed to bring awareness for some families, and hopefully I keep on saying, how much longer are we going to keep on doing this for? But I don't see an end in sight, really.
I like to think that even though we founded the project, that the project found us. I mean, the movement itself surrounding murdered and missing Indigenous women and girls is massive. But I feel like the work that we do really kind of found us and found our team of volunteers who we are so grateful for. They've helped us in so many ways. Countless hours of beading. Some of our beaters even donate their own materials. So we've not done this on our own accord. It really is the love and support of our volunteers, our families, our volunteers' families, and obviously our supporters. But for me, it's truly a humbling and an honored, I feel honored to be able to do this work, because it's not always easy work. It's quite difficult sometimes, but I definitely feel like it's an honor to serve in this way.
Wow. So is there anything that has been different in the work you've been doing during these sort of quarantine pandemic times?
It's been quite different. It's been the same in some ways in terms of us being able to continue on doing our online. We've been able to continue sales and doing our beadwork, and our volunteers are still doing their beadwork and helping us as much as they can during these times. But we were doing workshops very regularly before COVID hit. And unfortunately, we haven't been able to continue doing those kind of things. So it's been something we've been talking about, of trying to wrap our heads around how do we continue doing workshops virtually. We did put a YouTube video out, a tutorial of how to bead your own red dress. And so that's been helpful for some people, but it's definitely a hurdle that we need to get over, because it's hard to teach beadwork virtually, for one thing, and also just to do outreach with families. It's been a bit of a hurdle, but I feel like we've still been moving forward and trying to stay as consistent as possible in our support and how we can continue the project. So
I think that it's definitely allowed us to shift gears a little bit in terms of maybe looking towards online advertising and digital campaigns. How do we reach more people, but via the internet versus billboards or posters, when the time is not now to be out and about traveling and stuff like that. So yeah, it definitely has shifted our kind of vision of what campaigns look like for the families that we try to support. And then there's also the weird, when the COVID first started, this is kind of funny, when not a lot was known about COVID and how it could be passed, we were sanitizing every single thing before we dropped it off to our volunteers, and that was definitely different.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
And the fact that we have adjusted and adapted, and we now have little red dress face masks, which we never would have had if it weren't for COVID. So
yeah. So COVID has definitely not stopped you guys, it sounds like, and it doesn't sound like you plan on stopping anytime soon. So on a final note, is there anything you'd want people who support or continue to support the project to know?
That we appreciate everybody who supports the project, that Every little bit counts. There are people who donate, and we so appreciate donations, and we so appreciate people sharing out the initiative and just bringing awareness so that hopefully more families can find closure or find answers. And yeah, it's just all about the awareness, and we're so grateful for everybody who shares our project and helps even with doing beadwork and passing along what we're doing here. So
yeah, definitely just appreciation for our volunteers again. Our volunteers play a huge part in what we do, and and our families. Our families have put up with our countless hours of beading and
stepping on beads, probably eating beads at some point in time.
I think I sleep with beads.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. But yeah, it's just a matter of we're just so grateful for everybody supporting us. I have never in a million years thought that 2 years later that we would be where we're at. And with the awareness campaign, being able to actually see billboards going up and what that does for those people's families, and just for people in the community, for people who had no idea, and the fact that it's still ongoing. This isn't an issue that's going away, and we need to be pushing for more action and for more answers. And if we can play one small part in that by doing beadwork and pushing for awareness through the project, then by all means we'll keep on doing it.
Keith, Clint's, Clay, we will never forget them. I think one of that we didn't mention earlier, but was like our first two campaigns were for Kwakwaka'wakw woman and Nuu-chah-nulth woman, and so we're kind of just wrapping up those campaigns now and working towards a Coast Salish sister who was murdered. Hopefully we can try and help bring some answers to that, and then also just fielding for other families that need support, that please feel free to reach out to us if there's anything that we might be able to do. We will try whatever we can. We've definitely got some interesting ideas on the horizon, so make sure to follow us on social media and be patient with us. I know the website's there, but it's not always open for orders. We only open our orders for a 24-hour period once every few months, and then we fill all those orders. So we don't run like a typical store where we just have an ongoing amount of stock on hand. That's not how we work. So yeah, definitely be patient and just follow us on social media or sign up for our newsletter. That's kind of how you keep track of what we're up to.
Yeah.